All right, guys, so there are 10 questions today. This is a review of the past 2 weeks. So go ahead and start with number 1. The answer is C. So yes, you can use your calculator. I highly encourage you to use your calculator. But let's just talk about what the actual rules are. So if you remember GEMDAS, that stands for G is for grouping, E is for exponents, multiply and divide, left to right, add and subtract, left to right, as you see it. So we've got subtraction, multiplication, division. So we're going to multiply first. That's a -5 times 4, which is a -20. Drop down your 17, drop down your divided by 2. Okay, so now we're done with, so now we're still multiplying and dividing. So here's division. So we're going to do a -20 divided by 2, which is -10. Drop down your 17, and 17 times 10 is 7. And once again, you should type that into your calculator exactly as you see it, and sure enough, you will get 7. Next one. And the answer is C. So when you have a complex fraction, which just means a fraction with a lot happening, okay, take the numerator, simplify it first, and then take the denominator. So if you put in your calculator 13 minus 7 squared divided by 7, you should get 6. On the bottom, now we're going to simplify the denominator. 9 minus 20 divided by 4 plus 16. That's 20. Now, the best button on your calculator is the math frac. So if you type in your calculator 6 divided by 20, and then you go to the math button, which is underneath alpha, and it says frac, that's the first thing that pops up, push enter, it'll immediately reduce it for you guys, and it should throw up 3/10. But just remember, if they're even, we can divide by 2. So 6 divided by 2 is 3, 20 divided by 2 is 10. But once again, math frac is the best button on there. Here's number 3. And here's the answer. So if we go back to GEMDAS, grouping symbols, this would be the absolute value would be a grouping symbol. So the absolute value of -16 is 16, right? This negative here, we haven't done anything with it, so I got to bring it down, okay? Then we have divided by, and I'm going to go ahead and simplify this fraction. Remember, we're going to do the numerator first. So 3 squared minus 4 should give me 5. This bottom part right here, the denominator, 5 minus 10 is a -5. I'm then going to simplify 5 divided by -5, and that's going to give me -1. So that is what I bring down here, okay? So all of this was just equal to -1. Now, -16 divided by -1 is a positive 16. I think probably in general, the biggest mistake usually happens here, okay? You can't say, oh, look, a negative and a negative is a positive. No, you have to do the absolute value first. Here's number 4. And here's the answer. So when we evaluate, all we do is we plug in 4 anywhere where we see an N. The biggest thing here is parentheses. It's crucial. If you do not use parentheses, sometimes, honestly, most of the time, you're going to get messed up. So I see an N, so I'm going to go ahead and plug in a 4 squared minus 3. Oh, there's another N, so parentheses 4 plus 8. You can go ahead and type that into your calculator exactly as you see it, or we can do GEMDAS. So this would be 4 squared is 16 minus 12 plus 8, which gives me 4 plus 8, which is 12. Cool. Next one. And here's the answer. Once again, you're going to use parentheses, and guys, you need to be really careful that if my A is -9, I only put it where the A is. The B is -6, I can only put it where the B is, and so forth. And sometimes they get sneaky, and they will put like a C up here at the beginning and stuff like that. So just make sure that it's that you got it in order. But this should look like this: -9 squared minus that B was -6 squared plus 3, and then my C was negative 20. At that point, put it in your calculator exactly as you see it. Of course, 100%. You can do the actual math, which would be negative 9 times negative 9 is 81, minus negative 6 times negative 6 is 36. A positive 3 times a negative 20 is a negative 60. And then 81 minus 36 minus 60 is negative 15. But once again, straight from here, you can put it in your calculator as long as you are using those parentheses. If you don't use parentheses, it's going to be wrong. And here's another thing. Don't forget, this is a minus, this is a negative. On Desmos, they are the same. On your graphing calculator, they are not. Okay, so you got to be careful. Here's number 6. And here's the answer. So let's go ahead. This is exactly what it should look like in your calculator. Negative 4 squared. Because this negative doesn't take into account that this is negative. So remember, just x is negative 4, so that needs to be in parentheses. But that negative outside is still there. People forget that. Plus 7, my y is negative 2 to the 4th, minus 2, the z is negative 3 to the 3rd. I promise you, if you put that into your calculator exactly as you see it, you will get 150. If you get an error message, it's because you used a minus sign when you should have used a negative, or vice versa. You use a negative sign when you should have used a minus sign. Okay, so if you're confused about that, come see me or your teacher. Here's number 7. And here's the answer. So if we're asked to simplify the square root of 300. So if we have 300, you always start off with your prime factors. And here's honestly just a list of the first couple. And sometimes they'll throw 17. I doubt it, y'all. But you always start with 2. So we know this is even, so it's divisible by 2. 300 divided by 2 is 150. Okay, 150 is still even. And honestly, as I go, I'm knocking off the numbers I'm done with. So 150 is still even, so I would go to 2. 150 divided by 2 is 75. All right, 75 is no longer even, so I'm done with my 2's. Let's try out 3. 75 divided by 3 is 25. And then 25 is 5 and 5. Now remember, I need 2 friends to go outside because this is a square root. So 2 has a buddy, 3, you gotta stay inside, and 5 has a buddy. So when I do my square root, 2 gets to come outside, 3 has to stay inside, 5 gets to come outside, and that's a multiplication. So 2 times 5 is 10, and then we just got square root of 3 in there. Here's number 8. All right, so once again, this is a square root, so 441. So 441 is not even, but is it divisible by 3? Guys, all you have to do, the quick trick for 3, I know you can just put it in your calculator, but if you add up the numbers, so 4 plus 4 plus 1 is 9. Is 9 divisible by 3? Yes, then I know the whole number is divisible by 3. That's just a quick little trick. So 441 divided by 3 is 147. Once again, that's also divisible by 3. Which is 49, and I hope we know that 49 is 7 and 7. Okay, so now, once again, it's a square root, so I need 2 friends to go outside. Go ahead and draw my square root. 3 has a buddy, 7 has a buddy. So 3 has a buddy, 7 has a buddy. And what that means, y'all, is nothing is in that radical, therefore it's no longer there. So 3 times 7 is just straight up 21. So 21 is my answer. Don't get confused with that. Because the square root of 0 is 0, and 21 times 0 is 0. That's not true. Here's number 9. And here's the answer. All right, we got to be careful because now we have a cube root, right? So cube root is different than a square root. So it's the same process, though. So 2,000, it's even, so I start with the 2. 2,000 divided by 2 is 1,000. It's even. So 1,000 divided by 2 is 500. We still have an even number. 500 divided by 2 is 250. Still even. 2 and 125. I'm going to put 125 over here now. All right, so 125, is it divisible by 3? No, but it is divisible by 5. So 125 divided by 5 is 25, and 25 is 5 and 5. Oh, should have knocked those off. All right, so for a cube root, I need 3 friends to go outside. And don't forget your little 3 down here, guys, okay? So cube root, I need 3 friends to go outside. So I've got 1, 2, oh, I got 3 2s, cool. This 2, that should have gone away. This 2, poor little guy, doesn't have another 2 friends, so he's got to stay inside. By the way, that 2 got to come outside. And then these 3 5s have friends, so this 5 gets to come out. 2 times 5 is 10, and then we have the cube root, and then 2 is just in there by itself. Last one. And here's your answer. So let's go ahead and do 400. 400 is even, so we take out 2. 400 divided by 2 is 200. It's even, so we take out a 2. 200 divided by 2 is 100. Still even, so 2. Half of 100 is 50. Half of 50 is 25. And then 25, once again, is 5 and 5. Okay? All right, so it's a cube root. Cube root means we have 3 friends to go outside. So 1, 2, yay. That 2 gets to come out. This one, once again, no luck, so he has to stay in. There's not 3 5s, so both of those have to stay inside. So not just one, but both have to stay inside. This would then simplify. I just got the 2 outside, and then 2 times 5 times 5. So 2 times 5 is 10, times 5 is 50. So that is my answer. Okay, now that you're finished, good job. Go ahead and go back to the folder and complete the next activity.